say, I'm sure you caught the recurring theme. You know, we have 3 songs. Each song talks about imagining a world we live in. And if we look at our 5 principles and put it into practice, we know that we create our world, we create our lives with the thoughts, and I think it's time for a little audacious thinking. I encourage you to pick up the book. As I said, I will be covering 3, as we call it, through the book Shades of Light, but we also know them as our 12 innate powers. So take what I give you today, move into that place, read the book, meditate and pray on what you read, and know that we can take it a little further. Last week, Lee covered faith, and from Charles Fillmore, Keep a True Lent, faith is the perceiving power of the mind linked with the power to shape substance. It is the spiritual assurance, the power to do the seemingly impossible. It is the force that draws to us our heart's desire right out of the invisible spiritual substance. It is a deeper inner knowing that which is sought is ours already for the taking, the assurance of things hoped for. But to get there, we need to dip into our toolbox. To get there, we must practice our 12 powers and tap into those innate abilities that we have. So we're going to start with the power of understanding. And I believe that the author put these powers in the right order because these 3 literally lead into each other. The power of understanding is the ability to know, perceive, comprehend, and spiritually see. Now, if you remember from How to Use the Shades of Light, the one important thing is that our powers must be directed. So it's not, okay, I'm going into my power of faith, but we go into the power of faith directed from our ego or our personality perspective. So understanding is just like any other power. Understanding, if it's taken from an ego or personality perspective, it's someone who has the difficulty to perceive or understand beyond what is literal, what it is that we perceive. We talked about this a few times when I've spoken. Perception is either your power or your poison. So if you cannot perceive anything that you can't knock on or look at or touch and not believe that there's something greater than what you have in front of you, then you're working from your ego and from an underdeveloped power of understanding. And overdeveloped is a know-it-all. And they see things that are not there, figuratively or literally. This is when we become very rigid and we've come from a place of overbearingness. We sit there and we go, we know what's best for us, but our lives are falling apart. One part might be working well, but everything else may not be working. But because we're not open, we're not vulnerable. Brene Brown made it almost exciting to learn to be vulnerable in your life. But when you come from that spiritual understanding, it is the comprehending and internalizing and then living the truth we know. And even with the power of understanding, there are greater parts to it that we must understand, such as comprehension. And the author in the book reminds us that comprehension in the power of understanding can come in one of 2 ways. Following the guidance of spirit that dwells within, that inner voice, that ear behind the ear, the heart behind the heart, or the eyes behind the eyes, as Michael Bernard Beckwith always says. Or blindly moving forward, or blindly moving ahead, learning the hard experiences, or as some people like to call it, the hard knock life. I don't know about you, but I'm 49, about to be 50, and I've had enough hard knocks in my life. It is time for me to tap into my understanding. It is time for me to look at the world through spiritual lenses and know that what I perceive is my own power or poison. Realization has to come from that. We need to realize that when we understand principle, when we understand law, when we understand our good, when we understand what we call God, that realization, which is also part of our 5-step prayer program, When we get to that point and realize who we are, and what our potentiality is, we can then practice these laws. And insight, what we receive, and then it becomes applied understanding. So that's the first step in this three-step process. And I call it 3 steps even though we have a lot of powers to go, because the power of imagination, if nothing else, it's one of the most important powers of all 12 powers. And we'll talk about that in a minute. So as we continue to move on, we move to the power of will. And the power of will is the power to choose, decide, command, direct, and determine. As we direct, we can take it from either an ego personality or from a spiritual section. As we direct this power, underdeveloped, we are indecisive, we're wishy-washy, we cannot make a decision. We know that the law we're teaching today, we know that the principle we're teaching today is for my good, but I'm not sure. I don't know if this is going to work. Maybe next week. How many times have we gotten that little knock, and I'm there, that said, Rich, do this. Rich, don't worry about the haters, as they call them. Why are you worrying about what people say? You know, one of the things I'm working on right now is my own business outside of ministry. And Lee, don't laugh, but I'm actually reading a book called The Reluctant Reiki Master. And it's literally speaking from the point of, I'm scared, but do it anyway. Overdeveloped are people who must have their own way, also known as my way or the highway. They hate to be confused by facts and intimidated or irritated by change. We all say we don't like change. But one of my mentors always said it best. A lot of times you hear the term sick and tired, you'll change when you're sick and tired of being sick and tired. That never spoke to me until I heard this young man tell me, he goes, change will only happen when the pain of staying the same is greater than the pain of change. And that kicked me in the rear. From a spiritual practice of will, it is the decision made from ideas, truth, principles, and law that are divinely inspired. So when we tap into that one mind, when we tap into the good, when we tap into that which we call God, and we get those divine ideas. Now, I can't speak for anyone else, but I know for me, when a divine idea comes through and I get a little nervous, I tend to sit and center in, and if it feels right here, I know I need to follow it. If it doesn't feel right, whether it's butterflies in my stomach or whatever you want to say, then I know that I'm coming from a place of ego, a place of personality. Deepak Chopra shared a story a long time ago which spoke volumes to me about a CEO who became very wealthy in his country, and his way to make a decision was to take the question and swallow it. If it gave him heartburn, he didn't do it. If it made him feel joyous, then it did. And he would move forward. And he found fame and fortune doing just that. Within the power of will is the power of choice. The power of will is the ability to choose one possibility among infinite possibilities. Now, for those who are into the scientific world, you know there's something called string theory, which says that we live in one universe and there's multiple versions of this universe. And depending by the choices we make, we end up in one or the other. Be that as it may, when we dream, we may see, when we're given a choice, there may be different person or choices we can make and possibilities that we can come. And we know, as Mel Robbins says, that 5-second rule, as soon as you've made a decision and within 5 seconds, you can count it down as 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, the mind kicks in. What about this? And maybe that, and maybe not this, but okay, I may feel that. It is that power of choice within the power of will that drives us forward. Another part of that choice is that it comes from a place of desire. And desire is usually derived from dissatisfaction. There's a part of you that says there's something better, there's something greater, there's something more I am to become. I can't just be this meat suit sitting here right now. We must know that it can come from a dissatisfaction in life, your job, a relationship. It doesn't matter. It's the focus of just knowing there is more to me than what I know right now. But once we make that decision and we take that choice, the next step is the most important. And trust me, I have this argument constantly where I have people in my life who will say commitment is not as important as it once was. And I may be 49 going on 50, but I remember when a handshake was enough to trust somebody. But we must make a commitment. To do this work, you must be committed. Out of the infinite possibilities, I have chosen one. I have determined it is mine. I resolve to follow its calling. Then I commit to it. Commitment places me on a particular path. Commitment leads not to random action, but to deliberate action. This is words of the author as she's working through it herself. We've all heard the verse from Matthew 7:13-14. Enter through the narrow gate, for the gate is wide, and the road is easy. That leads to destruction, and there are many who take it. For the gate is narrow, and the road is hard, and that leads to life, and there are few who find it. The narrow gate represents our selective attention. Are we looking for easy? Are we looking for comfort? Are we looking for finding that place where I'm just going to be part of the status quo and I don't have to worry about people talking about me, and I don't have to worry about me being scared, and I don't have to worry about the dangers or the challenges that I perceive in my head that probably aren't even real in the first place? Or do I take the narrow path and say, as challenges come, I know who I am and whose I am? The hard road represents the human challenges of remaining centered and returning to the path that we have detoured from. So as the passage says, the path is wide, and you have a narrow path. So many a times we kind of detour off the path. I know I'm good because I am in the essence of this divine presence. Nah. I know I create my life by my thoughts. That's not true. Life challenges come at us, and it's easy to escape it by just moving away from it. But what if that challenge was there to prove that you are willing and what you want to do? I had a conversation with a fellow ministerial candidate who was ready to quit because she, like me, was delayed. And I told her, I've gone through the same challenges you have, and we are confused because Unity's going through a growth period and they keep changing this to that, to this, to that. And I said, I only know one thing, and it's that narrow path. I'm going to keep moving forward. And if this is what's meant for me, then this is where I will be. But I will promise you that I will not allow someone else to go through what I went through, because then I have the gift of experience to give that gift to someone else. And if I neglect that, then I take the wide road. So some examples of the narrow gate. In Christianity, it is the devotion to Jesus and the living of his living teachings. To the Taoist, it's the Tao. To yoga practitioners, it's asana, which is postures, pranayama, which is breath work, bhakti, which is devotion, and seva, which is service. In unity, it is prayer and meditation, study and service. To mankind, it is the fulfillment of one's sense of purpose. Commitment is the sustaining power of will. Commitment is the integrity meter of will. Commitment is doing what you say you would do long after the feeling you said it in is gone. It is not easy, but it is worth it. I've had people tell me that your commitment sometimes seems overbearing, and I said, no, if I use the word promise, trust me, it will happen. Foreseeing a very serious emergency. And even after that, once that's taken care of, my mind goes right back to this. And the last part of this power of will is right in the name, and that's willingness. Willingness is the fuel that makes commitment possible. A willing spirit is the epitome of spiritual willpower. Willingness is the antidote for willfulness. And for those that are not sure, willfulness is being in the moment of doing it by my will, or my way is the only way. And as we remember, when Jesus prayed just before he was arrested, he said, "Thy will be done." It was him releasing that fear of what was to happen next. It was him saying it is not for me to say what is to happen, but it is for me to follow that spiritual divine that has taken me to that place. Fillmore cautions that stubborn, willful, resistant states of mind congest the life flow. So if we're wondering why we're not hearing that voice, when we're here, we're wondering why things are not moving the way it is, ask yourself, is it my will, or is it thy will be done? Willingness is a state of allowing. Allowing is our capacity to welcome our experiences and to receive its gifts. Allowing is our ability to cooperate with rather than to control the flow of divine ideas. I am guilty of this big time, and we all know people who have to have that perceived control. And I would underline the word perceived, because I've been in many situations where I thought things were going great, and it's good, it's going, I have this, I got it, and something comes along and trips you up, and you're like, well, that power wasn't there. I don't have control over this. And maybe if I had taken the time to be willing, if I had taken the time to be vulnerable, to allow the flow to go through me, to be divinely guided to that goal, I possibly could have gotten where I want without the challenges. But that's where will came in, because the choice was given to me. Do I lay down and be the victim and cry because this didn't work out? Or did I understand that this challenge hit me not only by my own choices, but my own willfulness of saying, I'm doing this my way, and learn from that and move forward? So we have a spiritual understanding and the spiritual will to move us to make the decision of the idea we need to have in place to receive our divine ideas and to begin the process of manifestation. But it needs to begin in the mind. As much as I was raised in a Catholic church, it took unity to say, did you know there were two creation stories? And as anybody knows me, the first thing I did was pick up a Bible and go, what are they talking about? So Charles Fillmore teaches it as the first creation story began in the mind. And the second creation story was a story of manifestation. So when we talk about the power of imagination, imagination is our powerful capacity to picture what can be, and by holding that idea and developing until it is essentially becomes our reality. In a sense, imagination is our primary power because it is the essential for the cultivation of all our magnificent spiritual capacities. So when we look at the 12 powers, when we look at the banners around the room, imagination is the power that drives each and every one of them, because the power of elimination has to come from a place in the mind to know what it is we are eliminating. The power of order must begin in the mind as we begin to work through the order in our lives. And as always, imagination has to be directed as well. When we tap into our imagination from our ego or personality, an underdeveloped power of imagination is for those who have little ability to visualize or picture anything that is not concrete or visible, or they live a life of what I see is what I get. When we live a life where nothing can change, when we live a life thinking that everything is done to us, we take on that victim role. We take on a role that there is no control or anything in our lives. We have no power. We are not inherently good. We are not creating our life because we allow the people and the places and the things around us to control us. Overdeveloped, these are those who are excessive daydreamers, and they dream and nothing is accomplished. One of my mentors told me a long time ago, time will either expose you or promote you. And trust me, I hate to ever be exposed. It's happened, but I hate it. So I know that even when I'm second guessing myself, time, I know, do the right thing. Keep moving forward. Keep doing what you're doing, even if it doesn't seem like it's coming. Because sooner or later, if all I'm doing is talking a good game, and the tongue in my mouth doesn't match the one in my shoes, then I'm doing nobody a disservice, especially me. Coming from a spiritual centered place, it is the ability to visualize, conceptualize, and envision from a place of ideas, truth, principles, and law that are divine in nature. So within imagination is the practice of conception. Any constructive idea that you or I could ever conceive comes from the one mind. All that we can see has started or is born in the mind. Somebody dreamt about this podium. Somebody thought about pews. Funny story, somebody made a joke, but it actually is history. The pews were constructed in the way they were so people could not fall asleep during a boring sermon. I thought it was a joke. It is actually history. But somebody had to think about that in their mind to construct it. So, in the beginning, there was God. In the beginning, there was good. So when we tap into our own power of imagination, we tap into that center of God, we tap into that center of good. Then comes the vision, and we all know the passage. Where there is no vision, the people will perish. Visioning power of imagination is our capacity to dream of what has not manifested, to flesh out an idea, then feel the benefits of it in advance and its fulfillment. If you guys haven't watched The Secret, it was one of the things that started this whole law of attraction movement. It's actually on Netflix right now. And one of the parts that I hold dear is the steps to manifestation, which are, you must see it in your mind, You must feel it, and then finally believe it. And then, of course, the last line, and then you achieve it. But the point of it, if you watch The Secret, is the gentleman who sits in his chair and he closes his eyes and he pictures himself getting into the sports car, and he reaches out and he feels himself grabbing the wheel. He feels himself turning on the car. He feels himself shifting, and he's sitting in the chair like a child. But what's going on in his mind? Dennis Waitley is one of the personal development teachers who was part of the program where they showed that they had runners visualize themselves running a race, and because the mind did not know that it wasn't true, their heart rate spiked. They began to sweat as if they were actually part of this race. If you've ever had a very bad nightmare and you've woken up out of breath as if you had been for real and woke up like, oh wait, this wasn't real. Well, your mind didn't know that. So if it can trick you into thinking that the perceived fears in our life is real, why could we not use it to create an imagination, to create a vision, to create something in our mind that brings a positive outlook, that builds within our consciousness? Metaphysical understanding of vision tells us that creation occurs by the union of heart and mind. And finally, it's embodiment. And embodiment is seen as the pinnacle of creation. This is where you get to go into your mind and hold that vision of who am I and how do I live when I can on purpose. What am I doing? What do I look like? What do I feel like when I am on purpose? Concerning of and envisioning fulfillment. When I reach that level of fulfillment in my life, what am I? Who am I? What do I look like? What do I feel like? And that's the tool of imagination. According to Neville Goddard, disregard appearances, conditions, in fact, all evidence of your senses that deny the fulfillment of your desire. Rest in the assumption that you are already what you want to be, for in that determined assumptions, you and your infinite being are merged into creative unity. And with your infinite being, all things are possible. And this comes from his book, The Power of Awareness. When we let this outer world go, when we let our haters go, when we let our perceived messages that we tell ourselves or the stories we tell ourselves, boy, is my mind a storyteller. And I can tell you that that's another lesson, but when you start to learn the triggers in your life that are triggered by nothing more than the story you have told yourself because you've perceived and you used your imagination in underdeveloped things, that things are happening to you. When you release that and enter into the mind or the theater of your mind, as Reverend Ike used to say, and see yourself in that same glory that we say is this divine presence that is God. And you see yourself at your fullest potential when you see yourself and you feel it. And you know it. I don't know what happens here 5 years from now. And Sherry Kim and I shared this one time, where there's a certain song that triggers me. And when I hear the song, I start to visualize this church. And I start to visualize every pew filled. And I start to visualize the energy, and I start feeling the energy. I start feeling the goosebumps. I see the children being part of this. I see us doing service. And for me, the song is Until the Whole World Sings. Because to me, is where we take this from here to out there. And we let people know who we are, and what we do, and give them the tools. But that has to start in here. That has to start with each and every one of us sitting here, because we are the light that goes out in that neighborhood. We are the light that people encounter. And it is through the practice and the study and the prayer and the meditation that we become that much brighter. So, what do you imagine is your purpose? The clues are within your greater desires. Imagination, powers of conception, vision, and embodiment are all chief or important among our spiritual capacities. When cultivated and activated, these abilities lead to audacious demonstrations. It is not the darkness we fear. Just think of that poem. It is the light that we shine. And who are we not to? So, at this time, I want to take us into a meditation. It's a visual meditation. When we did the vision board workshop, I told you that the board workshop did not come from a place of putting on your board what you wanted to achieve or what you wanted in life, but it came from a place of what you wanted to experience. So this meditation would have been the last meditation we did had it been a full day meditation. So again, this is a visual meditation, and don't feel bad if you can't see it right now, because I guarantee you, somewhere you will see it. So let's begin to close our eyes and take a nice deep breath. And focus for a moment on your breathing. Just easy and light, just in and out, natural. Now let's begin to take a deeper breath. Feel the air coming in through your nose, going down your throat, into your lungs, and filling your belly. And when you feel it full, begin to exhale, deeply allowing all the air. And let's just relax in this moment, this presence. And I want you to focus on the sound of my voice. Let's allow your body to sink deeper and deeper into the chair. Let peace and serenity wash over your entire body. Allow any thoughts to come into your mind to just drift off on a cloud. In a beautiful day with a background of blue canvas sky. And be grateful for it as it flows by. As you continue to allow your body to relax, I would like you to focus for a moment on an image. Imagine in front of you that there's a timeline with an accompanying video of your life. On this timeline, you can push play and watch your current life. There's a rewind button and another button you can press to look into the future. You can see all of the upcoming images, much as if you're editing a video. But this video is of your life. Today you have decided to make some important healthy changes. Changes that have penetrated deep into your subconscious mind. These changes will impact every aspect of your life in positive and wonderful ways. So because you have decided to make this wonderful, profound, and lasting changes by feeding your mind with positive affirmations of a new, better life experience, let's fast forward a bit and see the future you. So let's scroll through the film to the future date 1 year from today. In only 1 year, your life has made amazing, drastic, and wonderful changes. This is because each and every day, good things have been happening according to the positivity that you have programmed into your subconscious mind. Step by step, you have gotten to more positive experience in 1 year from now. There is so much better. Look around you and see how many wonderful things have manifested themselves. See your friends and family being so very happy for you and all of the positive, wonderful changes that have taken place. You are surrounded by love and happiness. And now in this place a year from now, see yourself right there standing in the middle of your life. And you think back to this very day and you reassure yourself how easily you accomplished all of your goals that you set out for yourself. It was so easy, in fact, because you chose to work toward it. Towards your goals each and every day, step by step, doing at least something, at least one thing every single day to work towards your goals and improve your life. And now, from a year from now, you'll look back and realize that it was so easy that you could have done it sooner. But you are so happy now in this place, only 12 months from now. You feel peaceful and you feel calm, serene and happy. Now let's push that fast forward button again. And let's go 5 years from now. 5 years from now, you have accomplished even more of the goals that you set out to accomplish. Look around you. What are your loving friends and family doing? Who are your loving friends and family? Are they different people in your life than they are today? How do you feel inside? How would you gauge your happiness meter? Feel all the wonderful feelings of this moment of the future you have in 5 years. You have accomplished so many things, and you really are a different person from 5 years ago. Life is so much better, so much easier. It feels so good to stand in this place right now. This place of success and achievement. You feel all the love that surrounds you, given to you by the ones who love you, who have supported and encouraged you. Just notice what things have changed in your life. Has your career changed? Has your physical body changed? Have your relationships changed? If there is a significant other, how has that relationship evolved? How was your travel and leisure time spent? What does your home life look like? Imagine all of the best things that can possibly happen. Imagine them as having already happened. The lifestyle you are living now in this future, moments of 5 years ago, 5 years from today, feels so amazing and so wonderful, and you know what is coming. It's coming to you and getting closer and closer each and every day. So you work hard to make your vision crystal clear in each and every area of your life. You want to experience that absolute best there is to experience in this lifetime. So you make your goals crystal clear. Then you break them down into accomplishable steps that you work toward every day. You can literally feel your goals getting closer and closer. And you don't let a day pass by that you don't make at least some movement towards your goals, towards this incredible future that awaits you. You work diligently toward your goals. If that means educating yourself, then that's what you do, little by little, day by day. If that means exercising your body and eating the right foods, then that's what you do, day by day, every day, to get to your goal. If that means letting go of negativity and focusing on the positive, then that's what you do, more and more, every day. From this vantage point of 5 years in the future and having accomplished your dreams, look at your career and see the changes that have taken place in 5 years. Those changes you will start implementing each and every day to achieve your dreams. From this moment on, you choose to let go of any negativity or any negative influence in your life. Surround yourself with people who love you and who believe in you. You find yourself easily letting go of people who do not have the best interest at heart. Focus on your desire and allow the desire to burn brightly in your heart and within your chest. That flame of desire propels each and every day to work towards your vision and the reality of you in 5 years' time. You understand the reality of this timeline. You know that an amazing future is coming to you, moment by moment. You focus on giving your very best so that you can achieve everything you want to achieve in your life. Each of us has a timeline. And we also have a finite amount of time in this life to accomplish and experience what we truly desire. You do not want to waste a moment of non-productive things or experiences or relationships anymore. Now you totally focused on improving yourself, improving your life. This is the future you. This is the future you. This is the future you. Amazing, accomplished, genuine, prosperous in every area of your life. Let's take a deep breath in and release, knowing you've done an amazing job today. And when you're ready, take one more deep breath and settle into that feeling of gratitude for all those wonderful things that are yours and that are coming to you. And when you're so called, begin to open your eyes in this moment and in this time, and know that you have done a wonderful job and you've tapped into that good within each of us.